The topic will be writing advice, death, and resurrection, right? And why am I making this video? Because in a lot of books or other types of media, when a character dies, that character is usually resurrected somehow, and this sort of thing keeps on happening, or the death and resurrection themselves aren't that impactful, and this keeps on repeating as a cycle, and they lose all of their impact and meaning and effects, right? So if you're a writer and if you want to kill off your character, there are only two options left. Either that character dies and that's it, that character will never come back again, which I would suggest would be the better choice. It has a lot more impact, it can affect the reader, right? But if you choose to bring back the character that is deceased, in a, to resurrect it somehow, that character has to be not completely changed, but that character has to be affected. That character has to be different. That character has to, emanate, the sensation, the feeling of what it means to be killed, of what it means to be dead, and what it means to be revived, after being a corpse or a lost soul, right? And a great example of this is Jon Snow from Game of Thrones. He died, he got resurrected, and he wasn't really that affected by it. He didn't really change. He became even more depressed, and that's about it. And when he was asked, what's on the other side, he said, nothing. And then he moved on, and the subject was never really tackled ever again, which made the whole trial, the whole event, lose its substance, right? It was relegated to inconsequence. It was irrelevant, right? And another problem with, this death and resurrection. For an example, when Goku died the first time in DBZ, it was, you just didn't expect it. It was shocking, right? It devastated a lot of us, of course. But then we find out that guess what? There's an afterlife, and Goku is fine, right? And not only that, but we have a way to bring him back, the Dragon Balls, or another method, right? And this kept on repeating over and over again with other characters as well. So we lost any stake at all. It wasn't a dangerous situation. There was no threat. If a more powerful villain came along and killed one of your favorite characters, it wasn't a problem because you knew we have the Dragon Balls. We can bring them back, and even if we can bring them back, we are sure that there is an afterlife and our loved ones are there, right? So it loses all of its impact, all of its relevance, really, right? I mean, where is the threat? You know, what stakes are there if your beloved characters can keep coming back again and again, unaffected by their deaths, unaffected by the afterlife at all? They are exactly the same. Death has no consequence. Death has no impact, right? So it is absolutely nothing, right? So I mean, if death itself is removed from the equation as the threat, the one and only real threat of your loved one just being taken away from you and you can never see them again, right? I mean, what is left? Where is the willpower to keep on fighting if there is no real threat, right? Well, a character might say, well, I'm gonna lose, I'm gonna die, but my friends are gonna bring me back. This is my 20th time coming back, and I'm exactly the same. You see, that to me is bad writing. So my advice to you, young writers, is my advice to you young writers is, you know, either kill off your characters and be done with it, right? Death is an unknown, okay? And you can speculate, but you can never really know, right? Or if you choose to bring back a character that has died, I would suggest that you make sure that that character is not the same as before. You should convey the message clearly that death is not a joke, that it is a horrible ordeal that has, unknowable consequences. Okay? Your character, your resurrected character, should be scarred for life, should be marked for life, right? Because he or she has experienced death and has come back, right? So there should be a darkness, there should be a suffering, there should be a looming, atmosphere of dread and gloom, right? Because that's what death is, right? If death is taken out of the equation as the main, you know, as the main fear to be avoided, then where are the stakes? You know, why are we trying so hard to stay alive? Because we're gonna be resurrected anyway, and we're gonna be the same. So it loses all of its potency if death is relegated to a commodity that is taken for granted. Guess what? You have some sensu beans. Give me the Dragon Balls. I'm gonna use a jutsu and bring all the dead back. Right? It has no impact whatsoever. That is, you know, a lower class of writing. Right? Death should be the consequence, the one and only true horrible consequence, right? And if a character somehow is brought back once, only once, that character should be affected in ways that should shock not only everyone else but that character as well. Like in A Song of Ice and Fire, for example, certain characters that are brought back, they are almost empty shells of themselves. They are even monstrous, they are hollow, they are husks. A part of them has been stripped away, right? They are not exactly as they were before. It's like a part of their vitality, of their essence, has been stolen and consumed and erased, right? Because isn't death, the great, deletion of your identity, of your name, of your personality, of your characteristics, right? So this is why I never liked this constant use of constant death and resurrection over and over again. I mean, who cares if Goku dies now for the 50th time? He'll be back. Don't worry about it. Right? It doesn't matter. It has no substance whatsoever, no impact whatsoever, no weight. And he'll be exactly the same, his dumb self, every single time he dies and comes back. And all the others, right? Because there always will be some sort of Dragon Balls or whatever, you know. And death is treated like it's just, this inconvenience almost. You see, I would advise you, never treat death as just some mild inconvenience. We got some special item that's gonna bring us all back, don't you know? Right? Death is the final terminal. Death is the Death has always been that one thing that has terrified us, you know, unconditionally, right? Every single human being that ever was, is, and will be, have and will be afraid, scared shitless of death. And that's how it should be. Because it is the unknown, right? And it cannot be taken lightly, okay? So that's my suggestion, you know. Treat death and resurrection with, you know, with a clear mind. Be realistic. Stop going into this, almost cartoonish, childish trope that, oh boy, we're all gonna be back. We're all gonna be in the afterlife. We're all gonna be unchanged. There always gonna be some way for us to, meet again in this world or the other. You know, forever and ever. We're gonna die and come back. Stop that. Okay. Death is. Death is darkness, and if someone is going to be brought from that darkness, a little bit of darkness and decay should be pulled out with that character, right? So death should be, a part of that character that has been resurrected somehow, right? So that's my plain and simple advice. Treat death and resurrection, if you're gonna use it in your writing, with the respect and the horror that they deserve. Okay, because in real life, they are not, cookie cutter, cute, cartoony. They are real and they are terrifying, and that's how they should be. That's how you should write about them. Okay, so that's about it. See ya.